The meeting room was cold and quiet. Ambassador Minho sat at the long metal table, his hands folded in front of him. Across from him sat 12 alien beings, each one different from the others. Some had blue skin, others had scales, and a few looked like walking crystals. They were the Galactic Council, the rulers of thousands of worlds across the galaxy. Minho had been coming to these meetings for 20 years. He was tired, not just from the long trips through space, but from the endless arguments and complaints. Every week, there was a new problem. The Corvan Empire wanted more planets. The Veltar were angry about trade rules. The Zephyrians claimed someone stole their mining rights, and every time the Council called the humans to fix it. Ambassador Minho, said High Arbitrator Velnash, his crystal body glowing blue in the dim light. We have reached our decision about human expansion requests. Minho nodded. For 3 years, Earth had asked for permission to settle 20 new star systems. They had found empty worlds with no intelligent life, perfect places for human families to build new homes. The Council had promised to vote on it. The Council grants humanity permission to expand to 3 new systems over the next 100 years, Velnash announced. Minho blinked. 3 systems? We requested 20. Yes, but the Council has decided that humans are too valuable as mediators to risk in expansion conflicts. You might meet hostile aliens or get into wars. We need you here, solving our problems. Around the table, other Council members nodded. The snake-like Thymerian representative hissed softly. Humans are the best peacekeepers in the galaxy. We cannot lose this resource. Resource. Minho felt something cold settle in his stomach. After 50 years of service, after ending 17 wars and saving millions of lives, they called humans a resource. However, Velnash continued, we are pleased to grant the Corvan Empire 25 new systems for expansion. They have shown great military strength and deserve room to grow. The Corvan representative, a massive creature with 4 arms and red skin, smiled with too many teeth. The Empire is grateful for the Council's wisdom. Minho sat very still. The Corvans were known bullies. They started fights with weaker species and took what they wanted. Just last year, Minho had spent 3 months stopping them from invading. The peaceful Altarian colonies. Now the Council was giving them 25 new worlds as a reward. Ambassador? Velnash asked. Do you accept the Council's decision? Minho looked around the table. These beings had called humans to solve their problems for 5 decades. When the Veltar and Zephyrians started shooting at each other over a small moon, humans found a way to share it. When the ancient Thymerians woke up angry after a 1,000-year sleep, humans talked them into peace. When 3 different species claimed the same star system, humans drew new borders that made everyone happy. Every time, humans had been fair. Every time, humans had found solutions. Every time, humans had put the good of the galaxy before their own needs. And this was their reward. 3 systems in 100 years, while the violent Corvans got 25. No, Minho said quietly. The room went silent. Even the soft humming of the station's engines seemed to stop. Excuse me? Velnash's crystal body flickered with confusion. Minho stood up slowly. He picked up his data pad and the thick folder of peace treaties he had helped write. I said no. The Terran Federation does not accept this decision. But Ambassador, squeaked a small furry creature from the Vixian Confederacy, you must accept. The Council has voted. This is final. You are right, Minho said, walking toward the door. The Council has voted, and so have we. The door slid open with a soft whisper. In the hallway stood Commander Su-Yung, a tall woman in a dark blue military uniform. She had been waiting outside during the meeting, as always. For 50 years, human military officers had stood guard while diplomats talked. They never interfered. They never threatened. They just waited. Commander, Minho said, please send a message to Earth. Tell them the negotiations are finished. Su-Yung nodded. Her face showed no emotion, but her eyes were cold as space. Yes, sir. Should I prepare the transport ships? All of them, Minho replied. Behind them, the council members were talking in loud, confused voices. Velnash floated. After them, his crystal body flashing bright colors. Ambassador, wait! You cannot simply leave. We have treaties. We have agreements. The humans are bound by law to serve as mediators. Minho stopped walking. He turned around slowly, and for the first time in 20 years, he was not smiling. Read the treaties again, High Arbitrator. We agreed to serve as mediators while we were members of the Galactic Council. We agreed to help keep peace between Council species. We agreed to follow Council law and respect Council decisions. He stepped closer to the floating crystal being. But nowhere in those treaties does it say we have to remain Council members. The hallway suddenly felt very cold. Other aliens were stopping to stare. They could sense something important was happening, something that would change everything. The Terran Federation formally withdraws from the Galactic Council, Minho announced, his voice carrying down the corridor. We will honor our existing trade agreements. We will respect the borders of current allies, but we will no longer participate in council meetings, council votes, or council mediation requests. You cannot do this! Velnash's voice was high and panicked. What about the Corvin border dispute? What about the Thymerian territorial claims? What about the trade war between the Outer Rim colonies? Minho shrugged. Those are council problems. Now, you have made it clear that humans are too valuable to risk in expansion. So we will not risk ourselves in your problems either. He and Su-Yung walked toward the docking bay. Behind them, they could hear the council members shouting and arguing. Some were angry, others were scared. A few were already making calls to their home worlds. At the docking bay, hundreds of human ships were preparing to leave. Diplomats, trade, representatives, military advisors, scientists, and engineers who had spent decades serving the galaxy were packing their belongings. They moved quickly and quietly, like people who had been planning this moment for a long time. Sir, Su-Yung said as they boarded their ship. The council members seem upset. Minho strapped himself into his seat as the engine started. Through the small window, he could see alien faces pressed against the station's observation decks, watching the human ships leave. They will understand soon enough, Commander. For 50 years, we have been their problem solvers. Let us see how well they solve problems without us. The ship lifted away from the station and turned toward the edge of Council space. Around them, the entire human fleet was leaving together, like a great migration of metal birds flying toward unknown stars. Behind them, the Galactic Council was realizing that they had just made the biggest mistake in their long history. They had pushed away the one species that could keep their chaotic galaxy from tearing itself apart. Soon, they would learn what the galaxy looked like without human peacekeepers, and they would not like what they found. 6 months had passed since the human ships disappeared into deep space. The Galactic Council station felt empty without them. The long corridors echoed with footsteps that used to be mixed with human voices. The meeting rooms seemed too big. Now, with 12 empty chairs where human diplomats once sat, High Arbitrator Velnash floated through the station's main hall, his crystal body dim with worry. The first major crisis had started 3 weeks ago, and it was getting worse every day. The Veltar hegemony and the Zephyrian alliance were fighting again. It was the same old argument about mining rights in the Kepler 442 system. Both species claimed the asteroid belt was theirs. Both had ancient maps and old treaties to prove it. Both were ready to go to war. Before, this would have been simple. Ambassador Minho would have called both sides to a meeting. He would have listened to their complaints for hours, asked smart questions, and somehow found a solution that made everyone happy. It usually took 3 days, sometimes a week for really difficult problems. But now there was no Ambassador Minho. There was no human mediation team. There was only Velnash and the other council members trying to figure out what to do. Have you contacted the Terran embassy? Asked Counselor Thrix, a small blue creature with too many eyes. Vel Nash's body flashed red with embarrassment. I tried, 3 times. I only get an automated message. He had memorized the cold electronic voice. The Terran Federation no longer participates in Galactic Council mediation requests. Please direct inquiries through standard diplomatic channels. Standard diplomatic channels meant months of paperwork, formal requests, and official procedures. By then, the war would already be over. Many people would be dead. "What about the human trade stations?" suggested another council member. "Surely they will help for the right price." Vel Nash had tried that, too. The human trade stations were still open for business, but they only sold goods and services. When he asked about mediation help, the station managers politely said it was not their job. Meanwhile, the crisis was spreading. Veltar warships had surrounded 3 Zephyrian mining bases. The Zephyrians had called in their military allies. Ships from 6 different species were gathering in the disputed system, all pointing weapons at each other. The news reports were getting scary. "War clouds gather in Kepler system," read the headlines. "Thousands of ships ready for battle." In another part of the galaxy, something else was happening that made Vel Nash even more nervous. Captain Dong Yun stood on the bridge of his exploration ship, looking at a beautiful new world through the main screen. It was the 17th planet his fleet had discovered in the past 4 months. Green continents, blue oceans, white clouds, perfect for human families. "Any signs of intelligent life?" he asked his science officer. "None, Captain. Just plants. And small animals. No cities, no technology, no radio signals." Dong Yun nodded. "Plant the flag. Send the coordinates to Earth. This one goes on the colonization list." His crew moved quickly and efficiently. They had done this 16 times already. Find an empty world, check for dangerous life forms, mark as it is human territory, and move on to the next system. The old way would have required months of paperwork. Forms to fill out for the Galactic Council. Surveys to file. Environmental impact studies. Requests for permission to explore, then more requests for permission to settle. Now they just took what they found. "Captain," his communications officer called out, "we are getting a message from the council station. They want to know why we have not filed exploration reports." Dong Yun smiled. "Tell them we are not council members anymore. We do not need to file reports with them." Back on Earth, Admiral Minji walked through the largest shipyard in human space. All around her, workers were building new starships. Not the small, peaceful vessels humans used to make. These were bigger, stronger, and carried much more powerful weapons. "How many ships will be ready by next month?" she asked the chief engineer. 50 heavy cruisers, 200 destroyers, and 3 new dreadnoughts," the woman replied, wiping oil from her hands. Minji nodded. The numbers were good, but not good enough. "Double the work shifts. We need more ships, and we need them faster." "Yes. Admiral, may I ask why we need so many warships? The galaxy has been peaceful for 50 years. Minji looked out through the shipyard's huge windows at the stars beyond. "Because it will not be peaceful much longer. When the other species realize what they have lost, some of them will try to force us back. We need to be ready." The engineer looked confused, but she nodded and went back to work. On the council station, the first shots of the Veltar-Zephyrian War were fired. It started with an accident. A nervous Veltar gunner thought he saw a Zephyrian ship charging weapons. He fired first. The Zephyrian ship exploded, killing 300 crew members. Within hours, both fleets were shooting at each other. The battle spread across 3-star systems. Ships that had been built for trade and exploration were suddenly trying to kill each other. Vel Nash watched the war reports with growing horror. In the old days, human peacekeepers would have stopped the fighting before it started. A single human destroyer arriving between the 2 fleets would have been enough. Both sides trusted humans to be fair. Both sides knew humans could find a better solution than war. But there were no human ships coming. There were no human mediators asking for calm. There was only war, spreading like a disease through space. "We must do something," Counselor Thrix squeaked, his many eyes wide with fear. "What can we do?" Velnash replied. "We tried to negotiate. The Veltar say the Zephyrians shot first. The Zephyrians say the Veltar planned this attack. Neither side will listen to us." It was true. Without humans to guide the talks, the council, members did not know how to make peace. They could write laws and make speeches, but they could not look into the hearts of angry species and find the words that would stop the killing. By the end of the week, the war had spread to involve 8 different species. The Corvan Empire, seeing an opportunity, attacked 3 small neighboring systems that could not defend themselves. Ancient grudges that had been sleeping for decades were waking up. The galaxy that had been peaceful for 50 years was tearing itself apart. In his private office, Velnash stared at a hologram of the galaxy. Red dots showed where fighting was happening. There were more red dots every day. For the first time, he understood what humans had been doing all these years. They had not just been solving problems, they had been holding the galaxy together, with their patience, their wisdom, and their strange ability to understand what everyone needed. Now they were gone, and everything was falling apart. Velnash tried one more time to call the Terran embassy. The same cold voice answered, "The Terran Federation no longer participates in Galactic Council mediation requests." He turned off the communication and floated alone in the dark, listening to the distant sounds of his galaxy destroying itself. 1 year had passed since the humans left. The galaxy was on fire. Council Chairman Zorthak sat in his office surrounded by stacks of reports. Each report told the same story: death, destruction, and chaos. His green skin had turned pale from stress, and his usually steady hands shook as he read the latest numbers. The Veltar-Zephyrian War had been raging for 8 months. What started as a simple mining dispute had grown into the largest conflict the galaxy had seen in centuries. 7 star systems were now battlefields. Billions of people had fled their homes. Millions were dead. But that was just one war. The reports on his desk showed 23 other conflicts happening across the galaxy. The Corvan Empire had invaded 6 neighboring systems, claiming they needed room to grow. The peaceful Altarians had fought back for the first time in their history, and their homeworld was now a smoking ruin. 3 entire species had gone extinct, their planets burned to ash by weapons that should never have been fired. The ancient Thymerian collective had awakened from their long sleep, angry and confused. They were attacking everyone, claiming that younger species had stolen their territory while they slept. Their massive black ships moved through space like a plague, destroying everything in their path. Even worse, the galaxy's economy was collapsing. Trade routes that had been safe for decades were now war zones. Ships carrying food and medicine were being blown up by accident or on purpose. Entire star systems were starving because no one could deliver supplies. Zorthak picked up a report from his intelligence chief. The numbers made his stomach hurt. In 50 years of human mediation, total war deaths across the entire galaxy, 847,000 people. In 1 year without human mediation, 47 million dead and counting. A soft chime announced that someone wanted to enter his office. "Come in," he said wearily. High Arbitrator Velnash floated through the door, his crystal body flickering with dim, sad colors. Behind him walked Dr. Hyunwoo, one of the few humans who had stayed on the station after the withdrawal. He worked as an independent researcher, studying alien cultures and psychology. "Chairman," Velnash said, "we need to talk about the human situation." Zorthak laughed, but there was no humor in it. "What human situation?" "They are gone. They will not answer our calls. They will not help us. What is there to talk about?" Dr. Hyunwoo stepped forward. He was a quiet man with gray hair and kind eyes, but today he looked very serious. "May I speak freely, Chairman?" "Please do. Nothing you say can make things worse than they already are." Hyun-woo sat down across from the chairman's desk. "The council has been asking the wrong question. You keep asking why humans were so good at making peace. You should be asking how they did it." Velnash's crystal body brightened with interest. "What do you mean?" Every time there was a conflict, Ambassador Minho and his team did not just listen to both sides and find a compromise. That is what you have been trying to do, and it does not work. Zorthak leaned forward. "Then what did they do?" Hyun-woo was quiet for a moment, choosing his words carefully. "They studied you. All of you. For 50 years, human diplomats have been learning everything about every species in this galaxy. Your history, your psychology, your fears, your dreams, your cultural taboos, your religious beliefs." He stood up and walked to the large window that showed the stars beyond the station. When the Veltar and Zephyrians fought over mining rights, Minho did not just split the asteroid belt in half. He knew that the Veltar needed those specific minerals for their religious ceremonies. He knew that the Zephyrians were afraid of being seen as weak by their ancestral spirits. So he found a solution that gave the Veltar their holy minerals and let the Zephyrians appear strong to their ancestors. Velnash floated closer. But how did he know such things? Those are private cultural matters. We do not share such information with outsiders. Hyun-woo smiled sadly. "You did not share it with other aliens, but you shared it with humans, because you trusted us, because we listened without judging, because we cared about understanding you." The room was very quiet. Outside the window, a Corvan warship was docking at the station, probably bringing more bad news from the front lines. "There is something else," Hyun-woo continued. "Humans did not just understand your cultures. We understood the cost of failure. Zorthak did not understand." "What do you mean?" "Every time we mediated a dispute, we could see what would happen if we failed. We could imagine the wars, the death, the suffering. We knew that if we could not find peace, people would die. Not statistics on a report. Real people with families and dreams." Hyun-woo turned away from the window and looked directly at the chairman. "You want to know why human mediation always worked? Because failure was not acceptable to us. We would rather spend weeks in a negotiation room listening to the same complaints over and over than see a single unnecessary death." The truth of his words hit the room like a physical blow. Velnash's crystal body went completely dark for a moment. Zorthak felt something cold settle in his chest. "We made a terrible mistake," the chairman whispered. "Yes," Hyun-woo agreed. "You did." At that moment, an aide rushed into the office. "Chairman, urgent news from our intelligence network." Zorthak looked up tiredly. "More bad news, I assume?" "Sir, it is about the humans. Our spies have been watching their activities since they left council space." The aide handed him a data pad. Zorthak read it quickly, then read it again more slowly. His eyes grew wide with shock. "This cannot be right," he said. Velnash floated over to read the report. His crystal body flashed bright red with alarm. The humans had not just been exploring empty space for the past year. They had colonized 43 new star systems. Their military fleet had grown by 300%. Their industrial capacity had doubled. But the most shocking news was at the end of the report. "They have made contact with civilizations beyond the galactic rim," Zorthak read aloud. "Civilizations we never knew existed. At least 12 different species that live in other galaxies." Hyun-woo nodded as if he had expected this news. "Humans were always explorers at heart. Did you think we would just sit quietly in the systems you allowed us to have?" "But how?" Velnash asked. "How did they find other galaxies so quickly? How did they make contact with alien species so far away?" "The same way we mediated your conflicts," Hyun-woo replied, "by being patient, careful, and genuinely interested in understanding others, by approaching strangers with open hands instead of closed fists. Zorthak set down the data pad with shaking hands. What have we done? We thought we were keeping humans from expanding because they were too valuable as mediators, but we were really afraid of what they might become if we let them grow. And now? Velnash asked quietly. Hyunwoo walked toward the door. Now you will find out what humans become when you push them too far. As he left the office, another alarm began sounding throughout the station. More bad news from another war zone. More death that could have been prevented if humans were still willing to help. But the humans were gone, and they were not coming back as the peaceful mediators the galaxy had once known. They were becoming something else entirely, and the galaxy was about to learn what that something was. 18 months had passed since the humans left the Galactic Council. The galaxy was drowning in blood and chaos. But the Corvan Empire felt stronger than ever. General Thakmor stood on the bridge of his flagship, looking at the star maps with satisfaction. His red skin gleamed under the ship's lights, and his 4 arms gestured at the holographic display with pride. The Empire had taken 6 new star systems in the past year. Weak species had fallen before Corvan might like grass before a storm. General, his aide reported, the latest intelligence shows human activity in the Outer Rim. They have established colonies in 43 systems. Thakmor laughed, a deep rumbling sound that made his crew smile. 43 systems, the peaceful. Humans are finally trying to expand. How amusing! He had fought alongside human peacekeepers in the old days during joint operations against space pirates. The humans were good at planning and organizing, but they were soft. They always looked for ways to avoid fighting. They would rather talk for hours than fire a single shot. Sir, the aide continued nervously, some of these human colonies are very close to our new territory. The colony on Kepler 7 is only 2 light-years from our mining operation on Vega Prime. Thakmor's yellow eyes narrowed. The Corvan Empire had spent 6 months setting up that mining operation. It was producing rare metals that the Empire needed for their new warships. Having humans so close was not acceptable. Prepare the Third Fleet, he ordered. We will teach these humans that the Outer Rim belongs to the Empire now. His officers looked excited. A quick war against the peaceful humans would be easy. It would show the galaxy that the Corvan Empire was the new dominant power. Without human mediators to stop them, who could challenge their expansion? 3 days later, Thakmor's fleet of 50 warships arrived at the Kepler 7 system. The human colony was small and new, maybe 10,000 people living in simple buildings on the planet's surface, a few orbital stations, some cargo ships moving between the planet and the asteroid belt. Send them our demands, Thakmor ordered. They have 1 hour to evacuate this system. This territory now belongs to the Corvan Empire. The response came, back 30 minutes later. It was not what Thakmor expected. This is Governor Suhyun of the Terran colony on Kepler 7, the message said. The woman on the screen looked calm and professional. You are in violation of interstellar law by threatening a peaceful colony. You have 1 hour to leave this system. Thakmor's crew burst into laughter. The humans were threatening them. 50 Corvan warships against a small colony with no visible defenses. Scan the system again, Thakmor ordered, still chuckling. How many human ships are there? Sensors show 3 cargo vessels and 2 small patrol boats, sir. Nothing that could threaten us. Thakmor opened a channel to the human colony. Governor Suhyun, you seem confused about the situation. We have 50 warships. You have 5 small ships. Surrender now, and we will allow your people to leave safely. The governor's expression did not change. General Thakmor, you seem confused about what humans have become. You have 50 ships. We have something better. Before Thakmor could ask what she meant, his sensors officer started shouting. Sir, New contacts appearing throughout the system. They are decloaking! The main screen filled with new symbols. Human ships were appearing everywhere, as if they had been invisible. Not just a few ships, hundreds of them. How many? Thakmor demanded, his laughter dying. 437 ships, sir. All designs unknown to our databases. They appear to be very large. Thakmor stared at the screen in shock. The human ships did not look like the peaceful vessels he remembered from the old days. These were sleek, angular, and dangerous-looking. Each one was twice the size of his largest warship. "This is Admiral Youngman of the Terran Defense Fleet," a new voice announced. The man on the screen wore a dark uniform with silver stars on his shoulders. His face was hard and emotionless. "General Thakmor, you have threatened a Terran colony. You have 1 minute to begin your withdrawal, or we will consider this an act of war." Thakmor felt sweat forming on his red skin. Something was very wrong here. These were not the same humans he had known. These humans sounded like soldiers. "Not peacekeepers. You are bluffing," he said, trying to sound confident. "Humans do not start wars. You are peacekeepers. You solve conflicts with words, not weapons." Admiral Youngman's expression did not change. "General, you are thinking of the humans who served the Galactic Council. We are different humans. We are the humans who serve the Terran Federation. And we solve conflicts with whatever methods work best. Sir," Thakmor's tactical officer whispered urgently, "their ships are targeting us. All of them. I have never seen weapons like these." Thakmor felt his confidence cracking. "Admiral, surely we can negotiate. The Corvan Empire and the Terran Federation can reach an agreement." "Your minute is up," Admiral Youngman replied. What happened next changed how the galaxy viewed humanity forever. The human fleet did not charge forward in a wild attack. They did not fire randomly at Corvan ships. Instead, they moved with surgical precision, like a doctor performing a delicate operation. In the first 10 seconds, every Corvan ship lost its weapon systems. The humans used some kind of energy beam that cut through Corvan armor like it was paper. In the next 10 seconds, all Corvan engines stopped working. 20 seconds after that, the life support systems on every Corvan ship shut down. Thakmor's flagship was floating helplessly in space, along with the rest of his fleet. His crew was breathing emergency air and operating on battery power. They were completely helpless. "Impressive." Admiral Youngman's voice came over the communication system. "Your ships are still intact and your crews are still alive. That was intentional. We wanted you to see what human military technology can do when we choose not to hold back." "How?" Thakmor whispered. "How did you disable 50 warships in 30 seconds? We studied your technology for 50 years while we served as peacekeepers. We learned about Corvan engineering, Corvan weapons, Corvan military tactics. We know exactly how your ships work and exactly how to break them." The Admiral paused, letting his words sink in. "We know the same things about every species in this galaxy. We know how to defeat Veltar crystal ships, Zephyrian energy shields, Thymerian armor plating, and every other military technology you use. We learned it all while we were helping you make peace." Thakmor felt ice-cold fear run through his body. "What do you want?" "We want you to take a message back to your empire," Admiral Youngman said. "Tell them that attacking human colonies is a mistake. Tell them that the humans they once knew are gone. We do not negotiate with bullies anymore. We do not try to find peaceful solutions with species that only understand force." The human fleet began moving closer to the disabled Corvan ships. From now on, when someone threatens human citizens, we respond with overwhelming force. When someone tries to take human territory, we take their territory instead. When someone starts a war with us, we finish it. Admiral Youngman leaned forward in his command chair. "General Thakmor, you came here with 50 ships to conquer one human colony. You are going home with 0 working ships and a lesson about what happens when you underestimate humans." Over the next 6 days, Admiral Youngman kept his promise. The human fleet systematically destroyed every Corvan military base within 50 light-years of human space. They did not kill civilians, but they completely eliminated the Corvan Empire's ability to threaten anyone in that region. The message reached every corner of the galaxy within a week. The peaceful humans were gone. In their place was something that the galaxy had never seen before. Humans who were willing to use their vast knowledge and advanced technology not to keep peace, but to enforce it. And they were very, very good at it. 2 years had passed since the humans left the Galactic Council. The galaxy was a very different place now. Ambassador Tae-hyun walked slowly through the corridors of the council station. His footsteps echoed in the empty hallways. The station felt like a tomb. Half the offices were closed. Many alien species had stopped sending representatives after their governments collapsed in various wars. But Tae-hyun was not here as a refugee or a beggar. He wore the crisp uniform of the Terran Federation, and behind him walked 6 human marines in powered armor. Their presence made the few remaining aliens step aside and whisper nervously. The ship that had brought him to the station was unlike anything in the old galactic databases. It was sleek and silver, with technology that made even the most advanced alien vessels look primitive. The ship's engines produced no visible exhaust, and its weapons were completely hidden until they were needed. In the main council chamber, 12 alien beings waited for him. 2 years ago, there had been 47 species represented in this room. Now, there were only 12. The others had either destroyed themselves in wars or been conquered by their neighbors. Council Chairman Zorthak looked much older than when Tae-hyun had last seen him. His green skin was pale and wrinkled with stress. His hands shook as he gestured for the human to sit down. "Ambassador Tae-hyun," Zorthak said quietly, "thank you for coming. We know that the Terran Federation no longer recognizes the authority of this council, but we hoped you might listen to what we have to say." Tae-hyun sat down at the table where Ambassador Minho had once tried so hard to keep the peace. "I am here to deliver a message from the Terran government, but I will listen to what you have to say first." High Arbitrator Velnash floated forward, his crystal body dim with exhaustion. "Ambassador, the galaxy is dying. In 2 years without human mediation, we have seen more death and destruction than in the previous century. Entire species have gone extinct. Whole star systems are empty. Ruins." He gestured toward a holographic display that showed the galaxy. Red areas marked regions of active warfare. Gray areas showed systems that had been abandoned or destroyed. More than half the galaxy was red or gray. "We know we made mistakes," Velnash continued. "We treated humans poorly. We took your help for granted. We limited your expansion while rewarding the violent species that caused problems. We realize now that we were fools." Tae-hyun nodded but said nothing. His expression was calm and professional, like a doctor examining a patient who was very sick. "We want to ask," Zorthak said desperately, "is there any way that humans might consider returning to their role as mediators? The galaxy needs you. Without human peacekeepers, we will all destroy each other." Tae-hyun was quiet for a long moment. Then he smiled, but it was not a warm smile. "Chairman, you are asking the wrong question. You want to know if humans will return to serve the Galactic Council, but the Galactic Council no longer matters. The real question is whether you will accept service in the Terran Commonwealth." The alien representatives looked confused. "Terran Commonwealth?" Velnash asked. Tae-hyun stood up and activated his own holographic projector. It showed a map of the galaxy, but this map was very different from the Council's version. Large sections of space were colored blue, marking them as Terran territory. The blue areas included not just the systems that humans had colonized, but also the space around them. All the major trade routes were blue. All the important resource systems were blue. The small patches of non-blue space looked like islands in a blue ocean. "The Terran Commonwealth encompasses 60% of this galaxy," Tae-hyun explained. We control the main shipping lanes, the most valuable planets, and the strongest military forces. The remaining independent systems survive only because we allow them to." He touched a control, and the display changed to show military strength. Blue dots represented Terran fleets. They were everywhere, surrounding every independent system like a gentle but unbreakable net. 2 years ago, you told humans that we were too valuable as mediators to risk in expansion. You were right about one thing. We are very good at understanding how systems work and how to make them run smoothly. But you were wrong about expansion. Taehyun walked around the table, his Marines following silently. We did not expand by conquest, like the Corvan Empire tried to do. We expanded by being useful. When the Altarian refugees needed new homes, we offered them planets in exchange for their knowledge of biotechnology. When the Vixian traders needed protection from pirates, we provided security in exchange for exclusive trade agreements. He stopped in front of Zorthak's chair. When the Thymerian collective started their rampage, we did not fight them. We simply offered them what they really wanted: recognition that they were the galaxy's elder species and respect for their ancient wisdom. Now they serve as our cultural advisors. The alien representatives were beginning to understand what had happened while they were busy fighting each other. "You offered everyone what they needed most," Velnash whispered. "Just like you did during mediations." "Exactly," Taehyun confirmed. "But now, instead of mediating between equals, we mediate as the superior power. Instead of suggesting solutions, we implement them. Instead of asking for cooperation, we expect obedience." He activated another display. This one showed economic data, trade volume, resource production, and wealth distribution across the galaxy. Systems under Terran administration are 3 times more prosperous than they were under Council rule. War deaths have dropped to 0 in Commonwealth space. Crime rates are at historic lows. Scientific advancement has accelerated by 400%. The numbers were impressive, but they came with an obvious cost. "And the price?" Zorthak asked. "Independence," Taehyun replied simply. "Species under Commonwealth rule may govern their internal affairs as they choose. They may keep their cultures, religions, and traditions, but disputes between species are resolved by Terran administrators. Trade regulations are set by Terran economic planners. Military matters are handled by Terran fleet commanders." He sat back down and folded his hands on the table. "I am here to offer you the same choice we have offered everyone else. Join the Commonwealth willingly, and you will be treated as valued members of a galactic civilization. Your people will be safe, prosperous, and free to live their lives in peace." "And if we refuse?" Counselor Thrix asked nervously. Taehyun's smile became colder. "Then you will continue as you are now, fighting endless wars, watching your civilizations collapse, struggling to survive in the chaos you created when you pushed away the one species that could have helped you build something better." He stood up again, and his Marines moved to flank him. "But let me be very clear about something. Whether you join willingly or not, the Commonwealth will continue to expand. We will continue to offer other species the security and prosperity they cannot provide for themselves. We will continue to build a better galaxy. With or without our consent," Zorthak said bitterly. "With or without your consent," Taehyun confirmed. "The old galaxy where dozens of species argued and fought while problems went unsolved is finished. The new galaxy will be peaceful, orderly, and efficient." He walked toward the door, then paused and looked back. "You taught us something important during our 50 years of service. You taught us that most species cannot handle freedom responsibly. They use it to start wars, exploit the weak, and destroy what others have built. So we have decided that freedom is a privilege that must be earned." The chamber was completely silent. "You have 1 week to decide. Join the Commonwealth as willing partners, or remain independent and watch your civilization die slowly in the chaos outside our borders." As Tae-hyun and his Marines left the chamber, Velnash called after him desperately. "Ambassador, what happened? To the humans who believed in peace and freedom for all?" Tae-hyun stopped and turned around one last time. "We still believe in peace, High Arbitrator. We just stopped asking permission to enforce it." The door closed behind him with a soft whisper, leaving the remaining council members alone with their impossible choice. Outside, the Terran fleet waited patiently among the stars, ready to welcome new members to the Commonwealth or to continue building their perfect galaxy without them. The age of the Galactic Council was over. The age of the Terran Commonwealth had begun. And the humans were no longer asking anyone's permission to create the peaceful galaxy they had always wanted.